we're going, and we're moving, and we're just sitting here spinning in circles. Yes! It's rain. It's rain and sun and shine. Here we go! This is testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. This is RHJunior, your reality check, live on his online radio broadcast, live stream, whatever you want to call it. Pointless maundering for 4 hours. I can't remember the name of my channel. Spleen Squeezance. Spleen. Spleen. I think that's even better than spoon. Battle cry for the ages. Spleen. Okay, is there anybody here? No, there's nobody here. Where? Okay, is today a holiday? You have to go to Google to find. I don't have a regular calendar. Okay, let's see here. Google. Well, no, they haven't done anything to the ads. That doesn't mean anything. But let's see here. Nothing. Nothing. Is there anybody out there? Welcome aboard! Hello! Welcome to the insanity. Oh, it's not, Oh, for those who are not in the know, past week has been a pain in the butt for me. The forum for My Little Pony fanfiction that I am a member of, fimfiction.net, friendship is magic fiction.net. It's also fimfiction.net, F-I-M. And, I posted a story. One guy posted a story. I posted another story that was a different version of the same story. Went a radically different direction. And for the first time ever, literally, the story did not post. And I waited, and sent a message. I was being blocked. I was informed, first of all, that it was plagiarism. Or, he said either it was plagiarism or bordering on plagiarism. When that didn't fly, he gave the excuse that it was unoriginality. I'm speaking of the moderator who decided to block it. And I complained. I complained to the other moderators. I said, this is some sort of, this is nonsense. I've had other people look at the story and they say no. And, well, anyway, they're refusing to back down on this. The mods have all joined hands. Even though everyone who has read the story outside of the mods, even the guy who wrote the original story is saying, yeah, this is fair use. What are you doing? And they've been reading the unposted story. I don't know why they're able to access the unposted story, but there you have it. They even went so far as, let's see, yesterday I go online and find out the story has finally been approved. They finally decided to drop the nonsense and post it. And I'm like, oh yeah, finally I can get on with my life. Start writing more talking colored horse words. And I come back home and they change their mind again. And one of them had the fricking gall to write me an apology note. We're terribly sorry that you may have misunderstood. We have led you to. We're terribly sorry we misled you by letting you think your story was posted. And so, by their own choice, look, all I wanted was my story posted. They already have another variant. There's been another variant of that same story that's been posted by another writer who I suspect is parodying the whole situation. And they put it on without a second notice. They've got dozens of stories that are derivative of each other posted all over this website. Everybody, I mean literally everybody who has read this story is calling shenanigans. And the mods are, they're behaving like a bunch of petulant little 12-year-old girls who have been caught misbehaving and been made to sit in a corner. They're basically going to sit there and pout and kick the table leg just to be a pain in the ass. I've had to deal with some stupid nonsense on this site before. I had thought this was the end of it months ago, but no. It's personal, and they're going to keep it that way. Well, anyway, I have started moving my stories one at a time to fanfiction.net. Just look me up under RHJunior. Fanfiction.net. My fanfictions will all be over there. And I've also got over on Fiction Press. I've got my original stuff, so which is basically just the Sanguine Chronicles, Werewolves, Vote Republican, a couple other shorts. But anyway, this is stupid. Okay, this is epically stupid. I'm just gonna move my stories over. I'm not backing out. I'm just going to sit around and look. I'm not going to make things easy on them. It's that simple. If they can't behave like adults managing this site, then I'm not going to make it easy for them to behave like children. Anyways, it has been an epic drag on me. It's just a constant drag on my personal energy to have to deal with these people. I'm tired. I'm just tired of having to deal with people who think that because I don't share all their wonderful progressive values that they can treat me like a second-class citizen. and get away with it. People who claim to be professional, up until this point, I would have at least given Wanderer D, one of the mods, the credit that he always takes a stand. He doesn't like me personally, but he tries to remain impartial, and he's apparently decided to chuck that out the window recently. And around and around and around we go, and I'm tired of it. Fanfiction.net is a much bigger site, just gymongous, and my stuff's basically going to disappear in the into the forest of work there. But at the least, I can be, just from the sheer size of it and the number of people involved, I can avoid some of this personal politics drama that's cropping up on this website. Now, I'll be admitted, I cause drama wherever I go. I attract it like a magnet picks up metal shavings. But I'm not going to accept the excuse that, look, I'm not going to accept the excuses. It's that simple. When I am obviously being subjected to petty shenanigans, they can't get rid of me on any legitimate grounds, so they make something up. This is what they do with people who offend and upset them. I don't want to compare myself to these people. They consider, I don't want to compare myself. Consider Rush Limbaugh, Ann Coulter, Sean Hannity. The thing that makes them, the thing that makes the left angry about these people isn't the fact, we get angry about people who lie, okay? We get angry about politicians who come up there who lie about things, who lie and steal, and who promote just blatant falsehoods. This is why we hate the socialists, because the socialists are the ones who are pushing the socialist movement are lying. They're saying, you'll get to have your cake and eat it too. It's because they're shysters, they're frauds, they're criminals, they're hucksters. They have existed since time immemorial, and they've all used the same lie, something for nothing. And that is why we hate them. They don't hate Ann Coulter and Rush Limbaugh for lying. They can't even catch them in a lie. They've tried. They, break down and admit it. They hate her for being mean. They don't like her because she's mean. And Rush Limbaugh hurt our feelings. And Ann Coulter said something that hurt our little delusions. Where? The best they can go with is she's mean and hateful. What the real reason is that they hate Ann Coulter, they hate Rush Limbaugh, they hate Sean Hannity, they hate people like that for telling them truths they do not want to hear. And then okay, I already know there's somebody out there who's going, they could be nicer about it. They could be kind and soft and be gentle about it, and they could be nicer about it. They should be more like Jesus. I love when I say, why can't you be more like Jesus? they should remember that flipping tables and chasing people with a whip is on the list of options there. Jesus Christ, he was gentle and loving, and he also spoke truths that made people turn violently angry. His crucifixion was not the first time that they went to kill him. At one point, they tried to throw him off a cliff. Another time, they tried to stone him. He would say things that were the truth, and just make the people around him explode in rage. The truth does that to people, myself included. There are things that I don't want to hear, I desperately need to hear, that make me mad when I'll hear them. So don't be saying I'm being holier than thou, because no grounds. Okay, now, and what they hate, or what they want is, they want a chocolate coating on everything. You know why they want that chocolate coating? So they can spit the pill out of the middle. I used to, you have a dog. You ever try to give a pill to a dog? Oh, that's fun and games. Most people try the thing where they wrap it in hamburger and feed it to. I've seen dogs that have gotten through that trick. They figured out how to nom that lump of hamburger around and then spit the pill out. People are the same way. There are truths. We have tried to be gentle about giving them to the world, but people have learned to suck the sugar coating off and spit the pill out. This is why they hate people like these celebrities I mentioned, and people like me, because we are not inclined to give them a sweet-tasting, big, nice, thick sugar coating on a nasty little pill of truth. Oh, you think you're a purveyor of the truth. You think you are the final arbiter of truth. You think you have sole proprietorship on the truth. No, I think the truth has a sole proprietorship on me. I don't have the right to spread diced up falsehoods or half-truths. I don't have the right. I don't think I have a monopoly on truth. I think the truth is something that everybody knows, but everybody wants to deny. And I think the truth has a monopoly on me. And I'd better do my best to speak the truth no matter what. I may not be as tactful as others about it, but we've seen what tact gets us. Nothing. What they call tact is basically, like I said, sugar coating an inch thick all the way around. Nice and thick so they can suck the sugar off and spit the pill out without noticing it. Hello, Danny Marr. Hello, Lord Firebeard. Hello, Riley King. Hello, Final Legend. I can't pronounce that word. Final Legend 0. Welcome aboard. It doesn't list who is here. It does. The interface on this thing really, really needs work. It does. It really does. Doggone it. Okay? Just really doggone it. You know the real reason they don't like my version of the story is because the scenario is too close to a reality we're dealing with. Because it's set just after the Changeling invasion. If you've seen a Canterlot Wedding, you know what I'm talking about, where shapeshifters reveal themselves, changelings, and they're invading Canterlot, and it's basically, the story is basically about a society that is faced with the shocking revelation that they have been infiltrated by an enemy that could literally be anyone, and that this enemy wants to destroy them. Or in the story context, they want to capture everybody, turn them into slaves, and drain them of all the love energy in them. But you get the general idea is that of a nation that has been attacked, realizes that it was attacked because it was invaded from within, and now they have to deal with it. And anybody who has looked out the window since September 10th, 2001 knows what I'm referring to. It's not a perfect parallel, not by a long shot. Because, well, to start off with, no, I don't believe there is such a thing as a quote-unquote good Muslim. He said it out loud! He said it out loud! Quick, take your cootie shots! Oh, you'll be infested with his horrible, horrible thinking. Cootie shot, cootie shot. No, there's no such thing as a good Muslim. For the same reason, there's no such thing as a good Nazi, or a good skinhead, or a good Ku Klux Klansman. There's no such thing as a good racist, or a good cannibal, or a good pedophile, or a good serial killer. Their behavior and their beliefs put them on the opposite side. I don't care how peacefully they live. Every time they pick up that Quran, every time they bow to Mecca, their allegiance has already been declared to evil. Their religion, their holiest of holies, their high priest, their prophet, was a warmongering, mass-murdering, rapist, and pedophile. And they believed that he was the ideal man, which they should all emulate. The sicko married and raped a 9-year-old child. He proclaimed that little boys were fair game. Oh, pedophilia is a regular thing in every Muslim country. You'll see an old Muslim man walking down the street holding a little boy's hand. That's not Grandpa and Junior. They've had to tell our soldiers not to do anything. I feel sorry for those poor bastards in our military uniform, because they've had to work to keep our soldiers from holding these men at gunpoint, or just shooting them in the back. This is where that's where they want to take America, by the way. if they believe the Quran, they do not belong on the side of good. It's that simple. If the best thing you can say about somebody is that they don't actively practice what they devoutly believe, then guess what? They're not good people. There's no such thing as a good Muslim. Because if they're Muslim, they're not good. And may God have pity on their wives and on the women and children who are in the clutches of Muslim men. God have pity on the children, on the young boys raised as meat for older men, who grow up emasculated. Their identity as men stripped, their dignity as human beings destroyed, and they believe that the only way that they can get it back is to kill and rape and suicide their way to Allah. That's what it all is. They start out as prey for pedophiles, and and they end their lives trying to reclaim their masculinity. That's horrible, isn't it? That's a horrible thing to say. That's a horrible thing. It's the truth. That doesn't make it any less horrible, but it makes it necessary to be said. The more horrible a truth is, the more desperately it needs to be said. That's a horrible thing to say, which is exactly why it needs to be said. Anyway, this is why they don't like my story, is because, in the premise of the story is, they've just been they've suffered a horrible, violent attack right in the heart of their nation. They've discovered that they have been infiltrated by an enemy that can pose as anyone. And now, one member of that group has revealed herself, and it's discovered, that and the innocent bystanders of that race have a choice. They either have to maintain their silence and give the enemy aid and comfort by their actions, or they have to stand up, speak out, and separate themselves from this evil. And because throughout this story, as one reviewer put it, this time around, he likes my version better, is because Twilight doesn't just stand there going, "Ebba, Ebba, Ebba, Ebba." She doesn't carry the idiot ball. She has reasons and answers and common sense about why, yes, it matters. The parallels are obvious and way too close to reality. That's why they don't like my story. That's why they're blocking it. And that's why this nonsense is still going on. Because there's probably either there's a Muslim among the mods, or a Muslim sympathizer among the mods. And if you're a Muslim sympathizer, the word for that is dhimmi, D-H-I-M-M-I, which is, and what it means is basically you're a peon, an underling, a toady, a lesser being who is properly subservient to the children of Allah. You're a milksuck. And I don't expect anybody to come out of their delusional state from hearing this. There are people out there, they watched they knew what Saddam Hussein was. They knew what he did. The man filled mass graves for 12 years. He had killed over almost 1 million people at least. Of his own people. Men, women, children in his mass graves. They're still digging them up. They found his torture chambers where they would drip acid on people. Or cut out their tongues. They would cut open pregnant women in front of their husbands so that the woman's bowels and her baby would come out while her husband watched and their fathers watched. They would cut off ears, cut off tongues, cut out eyes. They would drop people into plastic shredders, toes first. And these people in Europe, these fucking milksop, worthless sacks of shit. I'm sorry, it's just, I can't even think of these people without seeing red. These mewling milksops gathered on tour buses and drove across Europe and down to Iraq to provide Saddam Hussein with human shields. I remember that. I remember that. Nobody else does. The press sure as frick doesn't. Our current administration sure does a very good job of forgetting. The people in Congress forget. That's how deep in the Kool-Aid these people are. I apologize for my language. That is a memory that the more I think back over what we went through after the Twin Towers fell, from September 11th on, just the things, there are things that just ignite a rage in me that I can't even begin to describe. And the fact that we have people out there, right here, who simper and sympathize with these human monsters. And who attack anyone who is trying to defend us from them. It's just too much to take sometimes. It really is. It just is. Just too much to take. Even in the abstract, simply acknowledging that a nation that is facing a subversive enemy has to take measures to protect itself. Even suggesting that in abstract, in a fiction story, is enough to trigger their social justice warrior knee-jerk reaction. It's just too much to deal with. It really is sometimes. Now I have to deal. I have to deal with these idiots all the time. And frankly, as nice as the website is, as popular as it's made me, it's not worth it. I didn't expect to go off on this train. I really didn't. I had other things I wanted to talk about today. I'll probably get around to them after I've cooled down for a few minutes. But yeah, it's just too much sometimes. It really is just too much. Uh, you ever notice that in any portrayal of an argument, it's whenever you're trying to be, all enlightened and sensitive and everything else, when they portray some sort of disagreement or fight, it always starts with the assumption that even the one who is in the right has something to apologize for. You ever notice that? It just occurred to me. It's one of the things that I always feel exhausted and tired after dealing with something that makes me very, very angry. And there's a certain amount of guilt for being angry. Even if I know that I'm in the right, I come out feeling guilty. For the whole thing. Now, you could question whether that's from a society that teaches that it takes two to fight, and therefore everybody who's ever been in an argument, the person who's in the right is just as guilty as the other person for the fight. So I suspect that's part of it. That we are conditioned to some extent to feel guilty for fighting, even when we are the ones who are in the right. Like, oh, you lost your temper. That makes you, as base as them. That changed a little bit over the years as I reflect, wait a minute, Jesus got angry all the time. And in fact, he made quite a spectacle at one point. And usually I get this, "You're not Jesus." Well, neither are you. That whole Jedi style nonsense. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hatred leads to suffering. I love that an entire civilization has knuckled under to the philosophical maunderings of a Muppet. Sometimes anger is justified. Far more often than we'd like to admit. I love how the fact is so many people, so many portions of this world, they stand around other people, especially Christians. They stand around Christians, especially, jabbing them with a stick. And when Christians finally get angry and snap and turn around and slap the stick out of their hands, they just, ooh, he's angry. He's angry. Oh, what would the baby Jesus think? Isn't that just darling of them? People who couldn't care less what Jesus had to say 2 minutes ago suddenly turn into theologians. True. Of course, I've come to the conclusion many times. I start out with a determined goal to be calm and patient. Just be so mellow and, I'm going to be Gandhi. No. That guilt is often misplaced. The idea, I could have handled my arguments better. Where does that come from? From the fact that we didn't persuade anybody, no matter what we tried. Softball, hardball, it doesn't matter. I came to you gotta realize 99 times out of 100, people who come into you on an argument or a debate, they're not there to have their own ideas questioned. The real purpose of holding public debates is not to sway the person on the other side of the aisle. If you manage that by some miracle, praise Jesus, because a miracle has just occurred. Your purpose in being there is for the undecided. All right, for the ones who have heard about both sides of the argument, and they're uncertain. They haven't made up their minds yet. This is the reason that liberals don't like debate. Because as long as they're the only ones who are speaking, the populace at large, who really are undecided for the most part, conclude that there's only one argument. So long as the liberals are allowed to present their options as the only options, so long as the progressives get to dictate what is culturally quote-unquote normal, then even the people who are vastly unhappy with the way things are going will not question them. This is why Rush Limbaugh took off like a rocket. He got on AM radio, which was pretty much dead back then, back in the 90s. I believe it was the late 80s, actually, when he started, but it was in the 90s. But anyway, he got on the radio, and suddenly millions, and I do mean literally millions of Americans who thought that they were alone, who thought that there was nobody out there who shared their values or beliefs, who thought that they were socially isolated, were hearing from this man who was staying on the radio and saying out loud the things that they thought privately to themselves and felt guilty about. He was saying out loud the things that they didn't dare say in front of their coworkers or their family members or their neighbors, or that only generated argument, scorn, and derision from anybody they spoke to. And he was saying it loud, he was saying it proud, he was saying it eloquently. There's irony for you. He said it eloquently. He was saying it eloquently, and people from all over the country were calling in and saying, "You got this right. I've known this for so long. I've been saying this myself for years. I can see this. What you're saying is true." And they went, "Holy crap!" Like the South's going to rise again. Millions of people who thought that their country was dead, the country that they had lived in was deader than disco, had hope again. And this tied the liberals in knots. They went on screaming frenzies over it. The politicians, the celebrities, the laypersons, they just screaming fits. They tried to blame Rush Limbaugh for everything, up to and including the bad weather. Every time some a loony shoots up a shopping mall, he must have been agitated by Rush Limbaugh. Seriously! And then you got Rush Limbaugh came out, and that started the ball rolling. Then there was Sean Hannity came out, Neil Bortz, Ann Coulter, and suddenly the conservative voice was back. And the conservative voice was a little bit tired of having to be prissy and polite and drink its tea with its pinky out, when the person across the table from it was a hooting chimpanzee flinging poo. How dare those conservatives use the same rhetorical tactics that we do? And they're using the truth while they're doing it. How unfair. The truth is hate to those who hate truth, okay? And saying it pretty doesn't change anything. In fact, they'll, if you try to be polite and nice about it, they'll just accuse you of wanting to rape the dog on the front lawn anyway. There's always going to be that depressing feeling that could I have done this better? What, why couldn't I get through to them? You're not going to get through to most of the people you debate because they don't want to be gotten. But it's not about them in the first place. It's about the undecided people. It's about the ones out there who have doubted the doctrine of the progressives and the atheists and the socialists and the green militant activists and all the other drivel that's out there, the terrorist apologists and everybody else. This is for those who think there's nobody else in their corner, who don't have the words to say eloquently why this is wrong, why that can't be true, why they're not going to go along with this. What's his name? Dennis Miller or Dennis Leary? I can't remember. I can't remember which it is. He's a politician. Not a politician. He's a stand-up comedian. He used to be rather, moderate. But after 9/11, he had his wake-up, road to Damascus moment, as it were, when he started listening to his fellow Hollywood celebrities, and they were all just gushing progressive anti-American rhetoric right after watching America get attacked by one of its enemies. And he realized this is crap. And he's become more and more conservative in his outlook. And his routine is hysterical. Pee your pants funny. But he rips the leftists a new one up one side and down the other. My favorite, in one of his routines, he was talking about what is the name of that woman that was head of Congress for a while? What was her name? What was it? What was her name? Nancy Pelosi. He said he doesn't like listening to her because he can never seem to find his shrill to English dictionary. He said it's hysterical, Obamacare, it's hysterical that we're going to take medical advice from a woman who picked that plastic surgeon. He said, how would you like to go through life looking like you were just witnessing the Hindenburg crash? Dennis Miller, I believe his name. Okay, let's see here. Switching, switching. Incorrect interpretation of the organization. These parties, a man of God like Peter cannot intervene as much. What? Okay, somebody's contacting me about the Questroverse crossover. Let's see. Just saying, I gotta send him. I gotta clarify it. Whether your character, whether you want your character to be hero or villain, you're an actor on a stage, and I'm gonna have to fit everybody in. Beg your pardon. Woo. What am I looking for? This little fuckbox. Yeah, be just a second. This guy's oh, dang it, now what? Well, I can understand somebody wanting. Everybody wants their character to be the hero, right? Everybody wants their character. I just had to tell a guy, your character is basically after commission. It's basically a role on stage. So don't take it personally if your character is a villain in the crossover I'm doing. I have to. They're just too dang many. It is insane. It is absolutely insane that Bernie Sanders is even listed as even a joke name as a candidate for president in this country. We are whacked up against the wall with a multi-trillion-dollar national debt and a deficit, a deficit in the billions every year, which basically means is that we spend more than we have every single year by hundreds of billions of dollars. And Bernie Sanders is out there promising them free stuff. That's what he's promising: welfare this and social that, and nobody, absolutely nobody he's approaching is saying, where are you going to get all this money? He's a lunatic. We are in the hole. We're digging for all we're worth already, and he wants to add more to the load. No, that's just insane. The only thing that can be said for Bernie Sanders' plan is that we are in so much dire trouble already that it's doubtful whether it could actually make anything worse. But I have faith that a socialist will actually manage to find a way to take a terrible situation and make it worse. So, no. I think that what's motivating most of this country right now is, who cares? I got mine. I think a lot of people who have ended up on welfare are going, screw it. I've spent all these years working and now, getting money sucked out of my pocket. Now I'm going to sock it to them. Take them for all they're worth. And I can't say they're wrong. I'm sorry, I'm feeling kind of tired, actually. I just... Sorry if again, I radio silence, dead air. Dead air, dead air, dead air, dead air, dead air, dead air, dead air. Transfer. Dead air, dead air. Dead air, dead air. Neener, neener. Neener, neener. Neener, neener. Dead air, dead air. Yep, nip, 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 nip. start drawing, I really fall quiet, don't I? Let's see here. Let's see, 68 degrees outside. Very nice. Very nice. As always, if you feel you have a PayPal button on my website, www.rhjunior.com. Because Daddy always needs a new pair of shoes. And I also have a Patreon, which you can see scrolling across the bottom there, in case you want to be a more regular supporter of the arts and support my... I need somebody to support my art habit. I go too long without it, I get the shakes. But, yeah. Excuse me. Excuse me. But, I also want to take a moment to issue a big thank you to all of you who are regular supporters. Whether you drop something in the hat every now and then, or whether you make a Patreon pledge, or whether you signed on for the Probability Bomb crossover. Last year. Okay. For those of you who do have Probability Bomb characters, and who have so on and so forth have signed on for the patron, I was optimistic when I estimated that the comic would be done by this time, obviously. But I will continue drawing, continue posting your characters, continue writing until it's done, and I am hoping to get it out by Christmas time. But at this rate, I may have to take the rest of you who have characters and have y'all standing in the crowd scene going, it's gonna blow! But, I'm trying to think and nothing's happening. I'm trying to think of what I was going to say something and I forgot what it was. I thank you for your support and for your patience in this project. This has been you might call it an inaugural flight. Been a learning experience. I've learned there are certain ideas that work, certain ideas that are not working as well. Which the next time I do a Patreon publication, the next time I do a Kickstarter publication, it'll be radically different. the general process is live, learn, do better the next time. Let's see. Okay. Partly cloudy for the next 4 or 5 days. If we support your art habit, do we count as enablers? Yes! I need as many enablers as I can get. There are two approaches to any field, that especially ones in the artistic fields. Getting for your audience, you can either find a narrow niche which you fit. The two differences, you can call them deep and narrow or broad and shallow. You either find a narrow niche with a, and go as deep as you can, providing for that narrow niche of devout fans, appealing to that small particular group. Or you create something that has broad-based appeal. Something that not too many people are going to be overwhelmingly enthusiastic about, but lots and lots of people like. Excuse me. Either of those two approaches works. The broad-based appeal has been the one that everybody defaults to for a long time. International trade, the industrial international commerce, bulk production, that sort of thing. I would say over the past century has made broad base appeal the most common way of doing, well, pretty much everything. You make a product and you try and make it appeal to as many people as you possibly can so you can make it in bulk. This is why everything is done in bulk, and everything has to be done in bulk because that's the only way to survive. But at the advent of the internet resulted in it becoming very, very easy to find those narrow niche groups, like, at one time, anime fans. When you can go online and find a few thousand fans scattered all over the globe and still market to them. That's niche performance. That's that's going narrow and deep. And the man who invents a way to have both broad-based appeal and also to hit that sweet spot with those narrow little fringe cult fanatic type groups. That's going to be somebody who really rocks the world, because he'll be able to market to anybody. This is the reason that fans hate it when something becomes, real narrow-based fans, hipster types, get disappointed when when something they love becomes widely popular, because that's usually the first sign that a niche product is going to stop being as good as it was, because that means that the people who are producing it are not being as devout about making it satisfy that narrow fringe group. Broad-based appeal is shallow appeal. That's just one of the consequences. This is where, they sold out. That's what we're all worried about. We see something that we love that has, a very narrow following. We know they are going to be very careful about pleasing that audience. But when they hit the multi-million size groups, you know, they are not going to be. It's a tendency they're not going to be as concerned with appealing to that high quality, small, narrow group anymore. Imagine what would happen to French food if they invented a fast food version of it. Basically, what happened to Chinese food. But the person doing the production, it can't be you can't fault them. They want to survive. And having broad-based appeal means that you can take a lot more damage and still survive. You can displease a lot of customers and still keep ticking. When you produce something, whether you're a creative person or an inventor or a company that produces Wensleydale cheese, I don't know. You have to be very, very, very careful not to offend that small group. Or you could lose everything. Of course, once they get to be a big corporation, they still have that same level of paranoia. Consider all the pandering that for all everybody talks about the corporations oppressing the people and controlling the people, and no, they're not doing it. The corporations are pandering to people. They are the most. Corporations are, at the same time that they throw their weight around, they're also the simultaneously the most spineless life forms on the planet. I mean, you got like jellyfish over on the side going, "Oh, get a backbone." This is why this is why these corporations, you see them doing things like making the gay burger at Burger King, or these gay Doritos. I wonder if it's ever going to dawn on either Burger King or the Doritos company. People don't want to put those things in their mouth. Oh, we made this burger special just for you. Oh. I'm sorry. I don't care if you're the biggest, wussiest, social justice warrior on the planet. Unless you're a flaming queer, they're gonna hand you that gay burger, and somewhere deep down inside, you're gonna sort of go, yeah. When you think of biting into it. But no, this is what they're doing. I mean, they're out there desperately searching for anything. I always picture some, the PR guy for a corporation standing there, half his hair ripped out in his hands, just pools of sweat under in his shirt under his armpits, and he's screaming at at his computer bar. What do you want? What do you want? Try everything. They spend millions of dollars trying to figure out what it is their customers want, and their customers get angry at them for doing it. They ask, they try questionnaires and surveys, and people get mad about those. They try passively observing, accumulating data on your purchasing practices, and people get mad about that. They're spying on us. Yeah, they're spying on you because they're trying to figure out how to sell you more bags of Fritos, fool. They're out there trying all these crazy flavors of stuff and junk, or these games and promotionals and everything else under the sun, and nothing seems to work, and they're like somebody trying to cook spaghetti for the first time, just just flinging noodles against the wall, seeing if anything will stick, And any effort they make to make it more scientific, less invasive, more efficient in estimating, and they're trying to control the world. Coca-Cola Company isn't trying to control the world; it's trying to sell the world a Coke. And no matter what they do, it's a sinister conspiracy. I mean, McDonald's is evil for making little Happy Meals. They made meals, Happy Meal. They invented a Happy Meal. McDonald's invents the Happy Meal for the little kids who like the simple food and like the games and stuff. Oh, well, let's do something nice for the kids. Let's make something that the kids will like. And they do that, and people are out there calling them evil for it. Yeah, they give their employees benefits. The McDonald's houses. Come on, the McDonald's houses. They build these places so that little terminally ill kids can be in a nice, comfortable place with their families. I'm like, crap. Can't do nothing to please nobody. How would you like to be heading up like the Salvation Army, and every time you turn on the TV, the Salvation Army is featured as a villain in the next movie, They're trying to deafen us all with those ding-a-ling bells. Ding, 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 ding. It's like the Indians with the blankets full of diseases. They're trying to get us to buy used clothes and spread the plague. And can you imagine doing that? Like, no, in a society, a company that's just trying to sell you a fizzy sweet drink, is the great Satan. Meanwhile, people who are trying to get your kids into sodomy are welcomed at public schools as heroes. I mean, at some point, the people that own these companies are finally going to go, screw you people. I could buy a better country than this. And they're going to go out and they're going to buy themselves like a little tropical island with like its own missile launchers, and leave the rest of us to sit here in our burgerless, Coca-Cola-less lives. I'm sorry. These evil, greedy corporations are supposedly destroying us all. They have done less to hurt us than these sanctimonious, selfish, self-anointed social activists who have taken over our country's government. All the twat models from the 60s have, and the 70s have become the politicians, media moguls, and Hollywood elitists of the 21st century. And they all still got their heads stuffed full of the brown hash they bought at Woodstock. Kumbaya, kumbaya. Don't eat the brown pimento loaf. It is bad. Yeah. I swear, one fuel air bomb in the middle of Woodstock in the future would have been a better place. That sounds horrible, doesn't it? Horrible, screaming, flaming hippies running all over the place. Oh, the humanity! Horrible, evil thing to say, to picture a million, all those thousands and thousands of young hippies dying. But dang, what they've done to the country since then. The deaths their mush-headed thinkings have caused. I estimate that the people at Woodstock have probably caused the inadvertent death. Shoot, they're the generation that got DDT banned, aren't they? So they are responsible for more deaths than Hitler. Just from that. The same morons who said, don't trust the government, don't trust anybody over 30, now they're in their 60s and they are the government. This is nothing new. I'm not saying anything new here. No, okay. I say it's just doing a bomber run on Woodstock might have been a little bit extreme, but I'm saying, like, what if we had just rounded them up? Just put a big fence around, waited until they were all stoned and passed out, loaded them up on airliners, and just dropped them on an island someplace. Surrounded found some like tropical Hawaiian like island. Mined the ocean all the way around the island so they couldn't get back out, and just left them. They could have had their little utopia that they'd always wanted. For all of however many days it took them for the dope to run out. An entire generation of troublemakers, just popped out of American history like a cork. Like a cookie cutter. Then after 20 or 30, after about 20 or 30 years, long enough, when we finally come back and rescue the survivors from what was left, I guarantee you, anybody that survived that, whatever offspring resulted, anybody who came out of that would be a much sadder and wiser people. I don't want to kill people. I don't want people dying, but I really do wish they'd just go away. This is the thing of it, is that we don't deep down, we just know they infuriate us. They drive us to a rage. They do it deliberately, and then they're astonished at our responses to their activities. And fine, They want to be like that. Just leave us alone. Just go away. Go find your little, go find yourself a little island nation someplace. Start your socialist utopia and see how long it lasts. Quit trying to screw things up for the rest of us. But that's not how it works, is it? It's never the troublemakers who leave. It's the people who want to do the right thing, who want to live properly. The people who want to live in a truly free society. The people who want a free, open market. The people who want a just and restricted government. The people who want to openly worship God according to the dictates of their conscience without fear of reprisal. It's those people who end up becoming the real refugees. And I'm not talking about these jihadists that are doing a mass migration through Europe. I'm talking about real refugees. America was founded. We decided it wasn't worth a fight. What did we do? Everybody talks about how evil and hate-mongering us right-wing Bible and gun clutching people are. But what is it we did? Did we tear up Europe with civil wars? No. We got on a boat and left. We literally went halfway around the equivalent of traveling to another planet back in those days and set up another nation somewhere else. And don't let anybody fool you. The natives were not noble savages. They were assholes. The Native Americans spent thousands of years before the first white man ever set foot on this continent killing each other. All right? They lived in a state of primitive, ignorant, nature-worshipping savagery. And the only reason they built up anything resembling a civilization was so that they could sacrifice other human beings at the top of the pyramid they built. So don't talk to me about how the Indians got screwed over. Those Indians were screwing each other over for centuries before they even knew white men existed. Were they treated badly? But were they mistreated? Were they done wrong? Quite a bit, yeah. But no, we're not. They. It comes down to two groups of assholes met each other, and the worst of the two got their cans kicked. You know why they lived in savagery? Because any two tribes could not live in peace with each other. And no, I don't mean peace where they smoked a peace pipe and they agreed not to kill each other. I'm talking about civilization, about the ability to cooperate. You know what? They couldn't cooperate with each other. Not even to deal with a broad-based influx of aliens from another continent. Their entire way of their entire way of life, such as it was about to disappear. And their range wars against each other did not stop, even to the very bitter end. If they had just stopped squabbling with each other and become a civilized nation, one civilized nation, if they had managed that, they might have managed to convince the Europeans to treat them on equal footing. But no, every couple of miles it was a new Indian tribe. The European civilization exists because they had reached a level where they could cooperate en masse, even with people they hated. Well, I mean, they had no Irish need apply, and they were treating, they're racist and white people treating black people like crap, and black people who were treating each other like crap, and the Irish were being treated by crap like everybody, and everybody hated this group and hated that, but they managed to work together. They managed to cooperate. That made them fundamentally better than the savage civilization they displaced. The Indians, a few of them tried to build a nation, but they were just, their culture just didn't allow for it. The most they could get was a quote-unquote nation of one tribe or other. But when confronted with a civilization that had reached a point where even squabbling factions could work together and build it, I mean, you look at the railroads, the roads, the railroads, the bulk produced products, the agriculture, all of it required a level of civilization that the Indians never reached on their own. Look on your desk in front of you and pick up a pencil. Do you realize how many disparate cultures, nations, cultures, nations, peoples, races, and civilizations have to work together just to make that pencil? Every bit of a pencil comes from a different place. The wood from one place, the graphite from another, the rubber from an entirely different area of the world where they grow rubber trees. The little metal grommet thingy that holds the eraser to the pencil, the yellow paint that's painted down the side, the machinery that machinery that cuts the wood and shapes it, the machinery that glues it together, the other machinery that mines the graphite and molds it into that long skinny black stick. All of it. Dozens, hundreds, thousands of different people. Some of them from countries that openly despise each other. But we are able to work together to produce a product that pencil, all of its products come from literally all its parts come from literally all over the world. The work that went into it takes it from one factory to the other, and then it's boxed up and shipped somewhere else entirely. It's all cooperation. And it is more than the Indians, the American Indian, could conceive of back then. So yes, Western civilization was not merely technologically, but morally and ethically superior to the Native American one. Simply from the fact that they could work together as one to accomplish a goal. But I ran off on that rabbit trail anyway. What I was saying is that the decent people, or decent people, want to avoid conflict. It's sort of part and parcel with their nature. It takes, it all boils down, don't tread on me. That has been the motto of every decent human being on earth. Every decent human being on earth sincerely believes, live and let live. You leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. Don't do anything to hurt me or to try and undermine my home. And we'll get along just fine. And generally when confronted, the decent person leaves. This is why Christianity spread over the globe, is because the persecution that rose up against them, they didn't stand there and fight. They got up, got on their camels and scattered. It was called the diaspora. And when people in Europe and in the old world couldn't live with the oppression, they got on their boats and they literally sailed halfway around the world and set up shop in a wilderness. Out of a desire to live peacefully. But no matter where a good person goes, the wicked pursue. Because the idea of a good person living at peace anywhere infuriates a wicked person. This is why the militant social justice warriors went after the gamers, because gamers are the ultimate retreat. The gaming community, the guys in the gaming community are literally probably the least threatening to women anywhere. The gaming community, the guys, the gamers, the basement dwellers, whatever you call them, are people who have retreated from the field of battle in the gender wars. They say, fine, you don't want us, we're not going to fight over it. We're just going to go and mind our business, do our McJobs, play our Nintendo, and get out our computer games and look at digital boobies and be left in peace. You can go over here and be a socially liberated woman and have all the beta males you can find. Just leave us alone. We just don't want anything to do with you. And the fact that the gaming community basically went off and quit paying attention to them was more than the SJWs could understand or tolerate. And so they found a way to go after them. When you try to retreat and somebody chases you to continue the fight, there eventually reaches a point where you have to stand your ground and say, fine, you want to fight? you have it. That's what happened to the American. What happened to the American colonies. It's what the South tried to do. The South. Everybody told you, oh, the evil South owned slaves. Well, big news. The North owned slaves too. It was just a coincidence of geographics that they didn't own as many, and that most of the northern states had finally revoked slavery. They didn't revoke any of the racism in their society. I mean, there were entire communities in the North that banned any black person living in them. Meanwhile, in the South, you had black slave owners and landowners. And the average white man worked alongside the black man in the field. Does this excuse slavery? Heck no. Does this excuse their the fact that they were buying and selling people? No. But I submit to you that the South did not attack the North. The South seceded. They said, fine, you don't want to treat us fairly, you want to play games with us, you want to pull these stunts on us, you want to treat us like a subject state, using tariffs and other shenanigans to exploit us. Fine, we're leaving. And you want to give us grief about the fact that we have slaves. You want to break the agreement that we made about having slaves. Fine, we're leaving. And the North attacked them for it. Which, coincidentally, is what caused several states to join the South. There were several states that wanted to stay in the northern states. They wanted to stay in the United States. But when Lincoln's armies attacked the South, they said, my God, he's waging war on his own people. He's attacking them for the evil deed of leaving. Screw this. We'll go with the South. And they seceded. People who are on the right side of the moral aisle tend to try and back away from a conflict at first. But evil will not tolerate that. There's nothing that evil hates more than the idea of being left all by its lonesome in an empty room with nobody to torment. That's everything you need to know about feminists, about the gay movement, about the abortionists, about every one of these groups and their axe to grind. They've decided that there is no way anybody is ever going to escape them. Okay. See, we're progressing nicely. Oh my. Okay, let's see here. It's 8:30. All right, let's do a little rapping. Let's do a little talking. Let's do a little shuck and jive. Let's see here. Here's the thought for you today. The buzzing sound a fly makes sounds exactly like somebody squeezing out a fart. So now you know the truth. Housefly isn't flapping its wings to fly, it's jet propelled. Some stoner out there's, dude, light a match. Get a little tired, get a little hungry. Haven't I? Gotta get something to eat. some people would scold me for laughing at stoner jokes. But, you read these, go www.thathigh.com, people who have gotten stoned writing about some of the things they did while they were blasted out of their minds. It's an extraordinary insight into how somebody's mind works when they're snockered, or when they're stoned. The cognitive leaps they make, they sound almost like the sort of logic you have when you've fallen asleep. When you're halfway awake out of a dream, and you're still thinking in dream logic, that kind of stuff, and it makes you wonder. It just really makes you wonder. Makes you think about just the fascinating peculiarities of how the human mind works. Come on, I know you're out there. I can hear you breathing. 3. I'm still waiting for that date when we break an audience of 10. I really don't have, talk about a narrow niche audience. This is it. It doesn't get any narrower than less than double digits. So, really don't have anything that could add to the show that would make it more interesting. Somebody else has already done it better. So, there's no novelty, I don't want to end up like PewDiePie, Yeah. Let's see. Excuse me. Stretching. Oh, joints popping. Thank you. That's better. Yeah. There's really not that much to, not much of a show. It's just, that's it. This is it. Me with a slideshow and shooting my mouth off, and that's it. And it's not much of a slideshow when I haven't got it turned on. Doggone it. Here we go. Yeah. I had some ideas I wanted. Oh, here's one for you to think about. You ever heard the phrase "the unsung heroes"? It's the unsung hero, the idea of the common man who makes the whole thing run. The burger flippers and the code monkeys and the office worker and the street sweeper and the garbage collector and all these other people, and the phrase "the unsung heroes," and it occurs to me: have you ever thought about how many songs have been written to the so-called unsung hero? I mean, they've even got like classical music called "The Fanfare of the Common Man." Ba-da-da, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. You've heard it on the late night news. I forget which channel. It's the one they used to open the opening stinger. I'm like, unsung hero isn't exactly an accurate term. It's the one that unappreciated. That's the thing about heroes of any sort. The people that we take time to praise, we don't appreciate them in the day-to-day. It's kind of, it's like, everybody's, like, I support the troops, we support the troops, yay. And how did we support them when they got back from war? We gave them a parade. Can you think of anything that you would want to do less after marching through a frickin' desert for like 6 months than come home and march down a street? Oh, here we go. Here's another parade. Left, right, left, right, left, right. Hope this frickin' ends. I'm getting sick of this. Oh, yeah, ticker tape parade. Yeah, ha, 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 ha. Hooray, hooray, hooray. Give them a ride, at least. Just pull up a float or something and let them troops sit on it. And let them ride to the end of the parade. But no, we don't appreciate them on the day-to-day. When I was in my parents' church, I back at the start of the Gulf War, a couple of times I put together a couple of care packages. You can look online, and there are these places you can go. It tells you what kind of care packages, things that would be deeply appreciated by a soldier in the field. It's an interesting list. It's everything from like games, music, to things like handy wipes. Because they can't stop and take a shower, and you got all that grit and that sand and everything. Being able to wipe that down and get that off their skin, it helps a lot. And there are things like just odd things, like napkins and silly string. Now this is an interesting one. Silly string, spray string, the party stuff. This has become very useful to soldiers in the battlefield, because they use it to find tripwires. They see a room, they're about to walk into it, and they spray some silly string in the air. When it falls, it'll catch on the tripwires without triggering them. And so they've started carrying silly string as part of their regular equipment whenever they can get it. They ask people to say, send me some silly string, Mom. Are you sure you wouldn't like some baked cookies instead? But no. Yeah, I like it. Now, anyway, we talk about we support the troops. How many people have sent, how many of us here have sent a care package? I've sent one. I think I've sent two. But, just to a random soldier. And you can do that. You can do that. It just goes out to a random soldier. And we had... when I did this, I was trying to talk, get the kids, excited about doing this, the youth group. And I was like, look, here's something you can do for, you got friends and family members who are serving in the Gulf right now. And this is the thing, it doesn't cost you like $5-10. You put it in a box, you mail it to them. It'll go. You can mail it to your friends or family members that are over there, or you can mail it to this one outlet they have that sends it to a random soldier. Either way, this stuff is the bomb. This is something we could really do. And as Christians, you could be doing something charitable for somebody else. And I couldn't get anybody interested. Oh, well, yeah, that's a nice idea. And then I left them a stack of boxes, postage boxes, and not a one of them used it. We support the troops, and just as long as we don't have to do any heavy lifting. and coming to think of it, if I get some spare money, I'm going to take time, make up another care package, and send it out to them. I'm overdue by a few years to do that again. If our troops never needed a time to be supported, it's now. Because their commander-in-chief's a shitbag. I saw a meme. Oh, he drinks beer and celebrates, this and that. Oh yeah, he's a Muslim. He drinks beer and eats pork. Yeah, big deal. The Muslims who blew up who flew planes into the buildings on September 11th spent the weekend before at a strip club. Bounce that ball around for a while, see what you make of it. Who cares? What difference does it make if he? I don't care if he's if he's a quote unquote real Muslim or not. What difference does it make when he acts like one and does everything they want him to? Let's go out to those poor men out there in the field. They are trying to defend their country when their own commander-in-chief is trying to betray it. What you gonna do about that? Will we ever do anything about that? No, because we're a nation of wusses. We've decided that it's too much trouble to turn off the TV and get up and do something about it. Am I being unfair? Yeah, I'm being unfair. I'm not here to be pleasant. I'm not here to be nice. But again, getting back on track, we see, we have all these songs about the unsung hero, but we don't have much actual day-to-day appreciation for them. If we really, given a choice between having songs written about you and having somebody just basically treat you decent, you know, I do that. I've gotten into the habit of saying, again. You know, you know, you know. see here. Switch back over here. See what I'm doing. Space, the final frontier. Blah 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 blah. Where's the airbrush? Let's see. That'll do. iTunes, episode 21. I wouldn't know. I just watched the My Little Pony episode from this Saturday with Rarity. Okay. Everybody's saying I called it because I speculated on the idea of her being a detective at one time. In the vein of the new version of Sherlock Holmes. This is more of a Sam Spade kind of thing. Or a Columbo. But I gotta say, I really wonder if the writers are aware of how they've painted the Wonderbolts into a corner. Because this episode makes them even bigger jerks than they've ever been before. Okay, let's look. Let's look at this. They've never really every time the Wonderbolts have appeared, they've made a point. They made a point of making them look bad. Okay. Now there's this trope called the Worf. The Worf from Star Trek: The Next Generation. He was the Klingon. He was a security officer. He was also supposed to be the biggest, baddest, toughest character on the show because he was a Klingon. And the thing of it is that he was always getting his butt kicked. Now, the purpose of that was to show, these guys just kicked the Klingons' butt. They're serious. They're serious to deal with. Unfortunately, they overused it. Worf would occasionally get a few licks in, but 9 times out of 10, Worf would be the one tasting canvas. And this is where that trope came from, that the character's role is to get his butt kicked to show how dangerous the enemy is. And, well, that's what they've been doing with the Wonderbolts at first. They get knocked out in Sonic Rainbow when they try to rescue Rarity to show how serious the situation is. They get beaten by Spike on the Greed Growth episode to show just how tough and how dangerous he is. Every time they've appeared to try and say that they've gotten their butts kicked. They got their butts kicked by Spike, by Tyrek, by presumably by Discord, by you get the idea. And but the thing of it is, they didn't stop there. They've turned into jerks too. It was one thing, at the Grand Galloping Gala, Spitfire and Soren, who literally owe Rainbow Dash their lives. Invite her into the VIP lounge and then proceed to stand her up. They were getting pulled away by all these celebrities. Horse Bucky. You got somebody there. I'm sorry, they were celebrities. They could say, "Excuse me, I'm here with a friend who, I owe my life to. I'd like to spend a little time getting." No, they let themselves be pulled away over and over and over again. They ignored her when she tried to have a conversation with them. You get the idea. Then in Rainbow Falls, they doubled down. I mean, that was, dickery. There's no other word for it. Because in Rainbow Falls, in Rainbow Falls, it was the tryouts for the friendship games. And Ponyville's team, the only good flyer they had for the relay race was Rainbow Dash. She was it. She was their corner. She was their anchor for their team. Without them, they didn't stand a chance of qualifying, much less winning. And the Wonderbolts are there. They're competing for Cloudsdale, which is a crock because it's supposed to be, if it's supposed to be the equivalent of the Olympics, what the heck are professionals doing on this? But anyway, they're competing for Cloudsdale. And Soren gets in an accident, and they use that as an excuse. They literally conspire to take Rainbow. They use that as an excuse to try and trick Rainbow Dash into leaving the Ponyville team for theirs. This was the tryouts. This wasn't even for the medal. This wasn't even for the games. This was the tryouts to qualify. The Wonderbolts already had backup flyers. They already, they were a shoo-in for the tryouts. But and Rainbow Dash was Ponyville's only chance. And they, for no better reason than to throw a little extra couple of points on the top, they try and wheedle Rainbow Dash into abandoning her team. And to top it all off, it turns out that they lied to Soren and told him they didn't need him anymore because they'd found him a replacement, even though he was all healed up. It was a minor injury, and he had been, and they benched him because they wanted Rainbow Dash just to clinch the qualifiers. And when Rainbow Dash calls him out on it, they're, oh, whoa, you taught us a friendship lesson. Here, have a pin. And now in this episode, an old Wonderbolt frames Rainbow Dash. This is a dick move anyway, because Rainbow, and then we talk about the flight camp, the training camp, where she gets kicked to the curb for lightning dust, who endangers everybody on the team and who nearly costs Rainbow Dash's friends their lives. And Spitfire is too busy signing pictures of herself to be there to see this. And I'm like, oh, you dick. And Rainbow Dash has to threaten to leave. No, she actually has to throw in her towel and say, I don't want to be a part of this anymore, before Spitfire gets off her ass and does her job. And now, in this one, they're holding, they're doing a special flyover for a ceremony at Canterlot. And they've still got Rainbow Dash on reserve, despite the fact that Rainbow Dash is a better flyer than all of them put together. And they've got some old fart, retired. They called in a retired Wonderbolt to do this air show, rather than let Rainbow Dash do it. Anyway, this old fart frames Rainbow Dash. Spitfire gets a letter from home saying that her mother's sick and that she, and so she leaves. And it turns out that her mother isn't sick. She's actually there for the air show. Spitfire and she missed each other on the way in and out. And it turns out that the letter Spitfire got was fake. And instantly, every one of the Wonderbolts turns on Rainbow Dash and accuses her of sending the fake letter to try and get in the air show. And then Soren, who owes this mare his very ass, proceeds to tell her, he gets in her face and tells her, you'd better prove it wasn't you. or we're banishing you from the Wonderbolts forever, for life. And I'm like, you dicks. You dickbags. And Rainbow Dash is completely distraught, of course, and Rarity manages to prove that it was the old guy who did it. She finds his cologne on the envelope. She just spots. She uses her attention to detail to solve the case and prove it was him. He tried to get her banned for life so that he could protect his record. He had been a record setter back when he was a regular Wonderbolt. And by the end of it, Rainbow Dash is still licking the Wonderbolt's boots. Oh, thank you for letting me back in. Oh, I'm so happy. Oh, I get to fly in this air show. Oh my gosh, I'm like, oh, okay. Now my wish list for the show has 3 entries now. Okay, 1, I want to see Scootaloo fly, unequivocally. I want to see her fly. 2, I want to see the Cutie Mark Crusaders get those darn cutie marks already. You've been stringing us along for 5 seasons. Come on. And 3, I want to see Rainbow Dash tell the Wonderbolts to get stuffed and to make it stick. I want her to turn her back on them completely. And I want to see them come crawling back to her. Because, I hate these guys even worse than I hate Diamond Tiara. Do you realize how much of a jerk somebody has to be to make me hate them worse than a schoolyard bully? I think Diamond Tiara at least gets her comeuppance. Once when she tries to be a bully or a brat, it eventually turns around and bites her in the rump eventually. But these guys, they're douchebags with hooves, and they get away with it all the time. And every time they appear, every time they're on the show, they get worse. They treat Rainbow Dash like crap. And nobody calls them on it. Because they're just, so far the fact that they are supposed to be the best flyers in Equestria, is an informed ability thus far. Thus far, all we've seen them do is fail and crash. Now, this was, I'm sorry I didn't wait a little bit longer. And if you've been reading the Great Alicorn Hunt, Rainbow Dash has a throwdown with Spitfire over her crap attitude. Yeah, I just wish I had waited. I wish I had just waited a little bit longer, just so I could include this in her "because you suck" speech. Really? I mean, really? Just far, how far, just how bad can a group get before somebody finds that, okay, it's time, it's time to to pull these guys up front and give them what for. Really? And like I was saying, I really wonder if the writers are aware of what they're doing to these characters. To too many of these, they work on this. These artists, they work on these shows, and their awareness of continuity is shaky at best. If you get what I'm saying, they don't seem to notice mistakes they make from one season to from one episode or season to the next. Continuity errors, things like that. And I wonder if they're even, I wonder if they're even aware of how jerk-ass they have made the Wonderbolts. These guys are supposed to be Rainbow Dash's heroes, and they treat her like crap. These guys are supposed to be heroes in Equestria, and they behave like jerks. I mean, one of their own members, one of their old members, who she idolized, who Rainbow Dash idolized, and practically worshipped him right in front of him, and he screws her over without a second thought. And his response is, sometimes, hey, you have to fight dirty to stay on top. I don't think he learned that anywhere but in the Wonderbolts. I'm just wondering if are they building up to this? But I don't know. I think they're oblivious. I think they're oblivious to the idea that Rainbow Dash can have her feelings actually hurt. I mean, this guy, who she obviously idolized her entire life, stabs her in the back just so that he can keep hold of his personal records from when he was a Wonderbolt. And hers, oh gee, that's not very cool. That's her attitude. That's her response. If somebody I admired that much shafted me like that, I would be shattered. I mean, I would be wrecked. Utterly. Inconsolable, you know? But what is it? Why is it that they can't understand that a loyal person is going to expect loyalty back? Look, they write her as being absolutely oblivious when somebody else shafts her. I mean, Mare du Well. I mean, the main six basically pulled one of the meanest, cruelest pranks on her imaginable. And she laughs it off with a wink at the camera. Oh, yeah, boy, you taught me a lesson. Oh, jeez. And every time she turns around, the ponies that she admires the most in the world, are earning their douchebag badges by how they treat her. And it's really, really sad. She's supposed to be a tough tomboy. That doesn't mean that she's got a heart of stone and a brain of brick. I think they're terrified. To uh, uh, have her demonstrate anything remotely feminine. Yeah. Of course, I've got a working theory that I've got a fan theory that I'm working on bringing out in the Rise of Darth Vulcan. Darth Vulcan's going to come to a conclusion. Why are they so oblivious to their own princess? I mean, think about it. Twilight Sparkle, brand new princess, coronation, big celebration in the capital, and she couldn't even catch a cab at one episode. Then you have how oblivious they were to the fate of the Griffin Nation. The fact that they had a communist, a Marxist cult springing up in a border town. The fact that they were oblivious to the range war that was about to explode in Appaloosa. And all the sealed evil in a can that everybody seems to forget about 5 minutes after it's off screen. I mean, they almost went completely oblivious to. They haven't mentioned the changelings except once, and that was a gag on the 100th episode for the wedding. My fan, what's going to come out in Darth Vulcan is basically, think about it this way. Think about how many raw explosions of magic they've had in Equestria. They've set off they set off the elements of harmony twice. They set off the rainbow, 3 times, counting when they just used the rainbow magic themselves in with Tyrek. There was at least once with the Crystal Heart that explosion at the Candlelight Wedding. And a thousand, over a couple of thousand years ago, when they set off the elements of harmony to petrify. Well, let's see. They petrified Discord the first time, banished Nightmare Moon, cured Nightmare Moon, repetrified Discord, defeated Tyrek, defeated Chrysalis, defeated Sombra. Each time with a massive explosion of magical energy. And it's all positive magic, happy feelings and love and all this, rainbow happiness and everything. They basically, my theory is magic fallout. As a joke goes, if Einstein had been Jamaican, we'd have an atomic bong. Celebration. Basically, they've been setting off every time they've been faced with an immense peril. They set off a massive magical explosion of positive energy. A blast wave that literally covers their entire country. To make all the bad things go away. And this, and I'm thinking magic fallout. That all this magic they've unleashed, it's not harmful, but it's sort of like releasing clouds of happy, don't worry about anything. Basically, that after all these times they've done this, from the Hearthfires, hearthwarming story, all the way up to the modern times, they've basically got loose, drifting clouds of "don't worry, be happy" floating around their country. And possibly a nice, big, thick boundary of it all the way around Equestria. Just this cloying, treacly, happy vibe magic all around. And that it's, these clouds of good vibrations fallout have been drifting around and basically making them forget. It's like a lotus eater cloud. They forget about the things they should be worrying about. And Darth Vulcan is going to start questioning, why are they so oblivious to think this over here and that over there? Why, I'm about the only thing that they have noticed, and that's because I'm right in their faces all the time. And then he's going to notice that every time he'll be sitting there, he'll be trying to pick out a book to read from his new library on a certain subject. And every time he starts to, something happens, he's distracted for a moment, and he forgets. And he goes through this 3 or 4 times before somebody says, your Dark Lordship, you times. And it's going to turn out that the Lotus Eater fallout has... he's going to discover this Lotus Eater effect. And basically, the positive vibes, for all the good they do, they make anybody exposed to it, suffer from the effects of out of sight, out of mind. I don't know what you... just throwing this in the air to see what you think of it. Code monkey like Fritos. Code monkey like. I've had this song stuck in my head for a couple of days now. Code monkey. Code monkey love you. It's this cute song. It's about it's one of those songs of the unsung hero kind of thing. It's a song about a guy who's a cubicle worker who's a computer coder for some company, and how he's fallen in love with the secretary. Code monkey get up in the morning. Code monkey go to work. Code monkey, Code monkey have a meeting with boss. He's really a jerk. Yeah. It is cute, and I like it. And, it's just stuck in my head all this time. It's one of those. I suppose it's the nerd era. You'd call it, like Geeks in Love, Hail to the Geek, Code Monkey in Love. It tells you how widespread. Lets you know the culture has definitely changed. Very, very different world we live in now. I've noticed. I was watching one of these Netflix shows, and I suddenly noticed. I suddenly realized one of the old problems they have with the movies is that it's taken them a long time to realize. The audience is going, couldn't they just use a cell phone? Don't they have a cell phone? Why don't they call somebody? Why did, they're stranded out in the cabin in the middle of the woods, and because their tire blew, but and the people who've been riding it, they were not used to the idea of cell phones everywhere. And I was watching this show, Bitten, and I was getting really, really annoyed at how much the cell phones were cropping up. They'd be standing there, and then their butt would ring, and and it would be the werewolf clan leader calling him to find out what was going on, and just phones back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it sort of bugged me. And I thought about, wait a minute, and I realized, there you go. But I don't know what to think of it. They're still getting used to the idea of writing the technology everybody takes for granted into the stories, and they're still clumsy about how they use it. To be honest, I mean, the old movies with the old tabletop, dial phones, telephone conversations really don't make for good TV or movie. They don't. Whether you do it split screen or going back and forth, or just one guy talking into a phone, it doesn't make for really good TV for some reason. We want to watch people interact in a movie. We don't want to watch them yell into a box. Back when telephones and there was a time when being able to instantly communicate with everybody was a novelty, a novel idea, a sci-fi idea. That's why Dick Tracy had his radio watch. And it was, oh, that would be awesome. Well, surprise. Now everybody has a radio watch, except it comes with picture. And it can send messages and play games and do everything under the sun. And it's really, making it difficult to transition, to make it a entertaining story. A lot of the drama and suspense that we take for granted in a action movie disappears instantly when you put a cell phone in it. There was one episode. It's called there is a spin-off comic from Superman pardon me, a spin-off comic of Batman called Azrael. It's supposed to be about a man who was raised, and psychologically conditioned by this secret cult to be their enforcer, and he breaks away from them and tries to become a hero like Batman. And at one point, he actually replaces Batman when Batman, had his back broken. And somebody had to stand in for him, but his subconscious conditioning by the cult made him too unstable. Well, anyway, they went on. They had a spin-off comic called Azrael, and it's about him trying to make his own way as a hero. Anyway, there was one big story arc where this plague was released in Gotham, and Gotham had gotten cordoned off, and it had been hit by disaster after disaster, and they had to cordon the city off, barricaded it up, and Azrael is in the laboratory where outside the city where they're trying to thanks to him, thanks to his knowledge, or rather to the knowledge of the cult that raised him, they find the cure. And Azrael takes a package. He takes the package with the information, and you get the whole issue is this dramatic, heroic race against time, with him literally racing across the city. He breaks into the city over the barricades and evading the police and trying to get to the laboratory. And he arrives, and then he gives them, here's the solution. Dun dun dun. Fanfare and everything. And then it pans back to the laboratory, and one of the researchers told him, couldn't you just have emailed it? And the guy says, I did. But it was, but I wasn't going to be able to explain that to him. He was stuck in medieval mode, and I'm like, the guy just risked his life and did all that heroic crap, and the writers yanked the rug out from under him at the last second. And I'm like, oh man. And it just, computers and email and internet and cell phones have made drama, and action and dramatic movies a whole different game. It used to be that one of the things they do is, the first thing they do is, there's no cell phone connection out here. Oh no, we're doomed. And that doesn't work anymore, because now we got satellite phones and cell phone coverage that just covers the whole continent, and well, you get the idea. And I guarantee you that after 9/11, the cell phone companies boosted their coverage. You got to figure, one of the problems they had September 11th was the buildings collapsed, and people did what was the natural thing to do. They tried to dial up 911, or they tried to call their family and friends to see what the situation was. That was what cell phones are for. But the problem was, is the system overloaded. They had built this fantastic phone system, and they'd never considered what would happen if suddenly half a city had a reason to call 911 or to call or just to dial up, and so they got swamped, and that made things harder. But I'm thinking that if they had Brain 1 in their heads, they immediately set out after 9/11 and increased the size of everything, so that the next time that happens, everybody that dials up will get a dial tone. I'd like to hope they did. Of course, the reason I think they did this is because they're private companies, and they know that being able to provide good service is vital to their survival. But when you've got government sticking its finger in, like with our electric grid, our power grid, they can't do what they need to do. The electric companies can't go out and just build more power plants or lay more line. Even though it's needed, they have to play Mother May I with every government agency from here to Timbuktu. And so we've been limping along on a system, on a power infrastructure that could fold like wet toast under the slightest pressure. If we ever get a major solar flare, our power grid is fried. Because every politician wants to push the problem off to the next generation and get out of office before it becomes a problem. But there you have it. Now, as long as it's a government institution, as long as it's, as long as such things are influenced and controlled by the government, they will never be run efficiently. And it's going to cost us eventually. But cell phones are still private company. And unsurprisingly, they've been able to provide more and better service every single year. If anybody tells you that the government invented the internet, no, it's a lie. In fact, they didn't. They bought, the protocols, the original protocols of TCP/IP. They were being worked on in a lab in MIT, and the government basically bought them out. Took it because, hey, this might be useful, and then they sat on it for basically 50, 20, 30, 40 years. It wasn't until these protocols lapsed into the public domain that the internet was born. I mean, they had it for decades. The government, for anybody who wants to say, see, this is proof that the government can make great things. No, it's proof that the government can be given an incredible miracle and sit on its ass and do nothing. For decades. I want you to think about just how many miracle cures and super advanced pieces of technology are floating around in the government's warehouses right now doing nothing but collecting dust because they've been completely, just moldering away in oblivion, like the Ark in Raiders of the Lost Ark at the end of the movie. It's tragic. Okay, Kansas has got pretty good right to bear arms. You're allowed to carry guns in public with no permit, background check, or training, either openly or concealed. You don't need a permit. No registration, no licensing, no nothing. Dang, time to move to Kansas. Oh my. Road monkey leg Fritos. Dun 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 dun. Good monkey like you. Okay, it is almost 10 o'clock. Got a good bit done. A fair bit done here. Let's see here. Should have this page done tomorrow night. Get it posted. I just have to pick out a few faces to put it here. And, yeah. But, we'll go ahead and call it a night. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. I hope you come back tomorrow. Bring friends! And say a prayer or two for me if you get a chance. Say a prayer for yourselves, too. I'll see you all next time. See you tomorrow. Same time, same channel. Y'all take care.